Moving into a new house should have been exciting for the Khan family. A fresh start, a beautiful neighborhood, and a home that felt perfect at first glance. But sometimes, the walls of a house hide more than just memories. They hide secrets waiting to be discovered. The first week was normal. Their 7-year-old son, Liam, explored every corner, laughing and running through rooms like a tiny tornado. But on the seventh night, something strange happened. At exactly 2:17 a.m., Liam woke up crying. Not the usual bedtime whimpers. This was full-on, heart-wrenching sobs that sent shivers down his parents' spines. His mother, Emily, rushed to his room. "Liam, honey, what's wrong?" she whispered, holding him tight. But he only pointed to the far corner of his room, tears streaming down his face. He's there," Liam murmured. "The man, he wants me to play." David, the father, tried to rationalize it. "It's probably a nightmare," he said. But Emily felt a chill. Something in Liam's voice was different. There was fear, yes, but there was also knowledge, as if he knew something that they didn't. That night, David stayed up, watching silently from the doorway. At 2:17 a.m. sharp, a shadow moved near the corner Liam had been pointing at. It was faint, almost blending with the darkness, but it moved. Slowly. Purposefully. And then it vanished, leaving the room colder than before. The next day, David searched online for the history of the house. What he found made his stomach turn. The previous owners, a small family, had vanished mysteriously decades ago. No one knew why. The house had been empty until they moved in. Emily tried to soothe Liam, but the crying continued. Night after night, always at 2:17 a.m. They began keeping a log, noting patterns, trying to find any clue. Liam always pointed to the same corner, the same cold spot, the same shadow. But they had no idea that this was only the beginning. The nights in the Khan house were becoming unbearable. Every evening, Liam would go to bed normally, brushing his teeth, reading a bedtime story, and snuggling under his blankets. But as soon as the clock ticked 2:17 a.m., the same nightmare began. David and Emily were exhausted. They tried everything. Turning on nightlights, leaving the hallway light on, staying with Liam until he fell asleep, but nothing worked. The cries always came, sharp and piercing, echoing through the empty house. One night, David decided he had to see what was happening. He hid in Liam's room, crouching in the shadows near the doorway, heart pounding in his chest. As the clock struck 2:17 a.m., Liam suddenly sat up, pointing at the corner with wide, terrified eyes. "He's here," the boy whispered. And then David saw it, a dark figure, small, almost childlike, hovering near the corner. It didn't move like a human. Its form was blurred, fading in and out like smoke. David froze, unsure if he was seeing a ghost or if exhaustion had finally broken his mind. The shadow lingered for a few seconds, tilting its head as if observing Liam. Then, almost as silently as it had appeared, it vanished. Liam collapsed back onto his bed, sobbing but exhausted. David couldn't shake the cold feeling creeping down his spine. The next morning, Emily noticed something odd. Liam was drawing pictures, always in that same corner, always of the shadowy figure. But this time, he added small details: a tiny bed, a toy, and a letter on the floor. David and Emily had never shown him these things. That's when Emily decided to dig deeper into the house's history. She went to the local archives and found something shocking. The previous family had a son named Ethan, who died mysteriously in the house decades ago. Rumors whispered of a locked attic, a child's toy left behind, and a family who moved away suddenly after a tragedy. David and Emily exchanged glances. Could Liam be seeing Ethan's spirit? And if so, why was it reaching out to him? They knew one thing for sure: the shadow was not gone, and Liam's cries were not just nightmares. Something in that house was reaching through time, trying to communicate, and they had no idea how to stop it. That night, Emily made a decision. She would stay awake with Liam, record everything, and try to understand the shadow. What they discovered next would change everything they thought they knew about their home and about the boy they loved. After nights of relentless crying and shadow sightings, Emily and David realized they couldn't wait any longer. Something in the house wanted to communicate, and it wasn't going away. That afternoon, they decided to inspect the house from top to bottom. The attic had always been locked, a heavy old padlock keeping them out. The real estate agent had brushed it off as storage, but now David's gut told him there was more. With a crowbar in hand and Emily holding Liam close, they pried the lock open. Dust and cobwebs filled the air as they stepped inside. The attic was small, dimly lit, and smelled of decay. But the real shock came when Emily noticed something at the far end. A tiny bed, perfectly made, and a small toy scattered near it. David's hand trembled as he picked up a letter, yellowed with age. It was addressed to no one in particular, written by a boy named Ethan. The words were haunting. "I am alone. I wait here. I just want someone to play with me. Don't forget me." Emily read it aloud. Liam's eyes widened. "He's lonely. He wants a friend," the boy whispered. His tiny fingers trembled as he pointed to the corner of the attic. Then the temperature dropped. The shadow appeared again, this time more solid, hovering near the bed. But instead of frightening them, it seemed desperate. David felt a chill run down his spine. The spirit wasn't angry, it was lonely, trapped in the house for decades. That night, they returned to Liam's room, carrying the toy and letter from the attic. Liam held them gently. For the first time, he didn't cry at 2:17 a.m. Instead, he whispered, "He's happy now, but he wants us to help him." Emily and David exchanged worried glances. They realized helping Ethan meant understanding what really happened to him decades ago, and they weren't sure they were ready for the truth. But one thing was clear. The shadow wasn't just a ghost story. It was a message, a plea from the past, and Liam had become its link to the living world. After discovering the hidden attic and Ethan's letter, the Khans felt a mix of dread and responsibility. Liam's cries were no longer just disturbances. They were warnings, reminders of a forgotten tragedy. Emily couldn't sleep. She spent hours researching the previous family. What she found was chilling. Ethan's parents had vanished shortly after his death, leaving the house abandoned for decades. Local whispers suggested a terrible accident, but no one knew the details. The deeper Emily dug, the more she realized this wasn't an accident. One rainy evening, David returned home early from work with a package he found in the attic. Inside were old documents, photographs, and a small diary belonging to Ethan's father. The diary detailed a household torn by neglect and secrecy. It mentioned a strict rule. Ethan was forbidden from entering a particular room, an old storage area at the back of the house. The diary also hinted at a terrible incident. Ethan had been locked in that room one night, alone, as a punishment. He had cried for help, but no one came. By the morning, Ethan had fallen unconscious. His death was reported as an accident, but the diary suggested it could have been prevented. Liam's cries suddenly made sense. He wasn't just scared, he was channeling Ethan's unfinished business, trying to tell someone the truth. Emily and David shivered. Could their son really see into the past? And why him? That night, as usual, 2:17 a.m. arrived. But this time, Liam didn't scream. He walked to the corner of his room, carrying Ethan's toy. The shadow appeared again, this time more distinct, almost human. Liam knelt, offering the toy. The figure hesitated, then reached out. For the first time, the air in the room felt less hostile, almost relieved. Emily whispered, "He just wants justice. He wants someone to remember him." David realized something crucial. Helping Ethan meant not only acknowledging the tragedy, but also revealing the truth of the house's dark past. But as they started planning, a louder, more urgent cry echoed from the other side of the room. Something unseen had noticed their meddling. The Khans understood. They were far from finished. Whatever haunted the house wasn't ready to let go. After uncovering Ethan's tragic past, the Khans felt a mix of fear and responsibility. They understood that Liam's nightly cries weren't just hauntings, they were messages from a restless spirit seeking closure. That evening, David set up a camera to record everything. Emily held Liam close, whispering reassurance. The clock ticked toward 2:17 a.m., and as expected, Liam stirred. But this time, he wasn't crying immediately. He walked toward the same corner, holding Ethan's toy and the yellowed letter. The shadow appeared. It was now taller, more defined, almost human in shape. Its eyes, dark and hollow, fixed on Liam. Then it spoke. Not in words, but through a cold, urgent energy that sent chills down Emily and David's spines. Suddenly, the shadow moved toward the attic stairs. Liam followed instinctively. David hesitated but decided to trust his son. As they climbed into the attic, the temperature dropped sharply. The small bed and toys from before were untouched, but the air was heavier, oppressive. Then came the voice, a whisper so faint yet chilling. Find the rest of me. Tell them the truth. Emily realized the shadow wasn't just Ethan. It was part of the boy's lost life, a fragment trapped between worlds. Liam, understanding somehow, picked up a hidden drawer David hadn't noticed before. Inside was a set of old documents, proof that Ethan's death was covered up, and the family who vanished had left behind secrets no one should uncover. As they read the documents, the shadow flinched, almost pleading. Liam held out the letter and toy. The air seemed to vibrate with tension, as if Ethan's spirit was testing them. Then the unthinkable happened. The shadow lunged, not to harm, but in desperation. Liam screamed, but Emily and David held him tight. In one swift moment, the shadow enveloped the boy and then vanished. Silence. The attic was cold but still. Liam looked at his parents, tears in his eyes, whispering, "He's gone. But he's happy now." Emily and David knew the spirit had finally found peace, but the documents revealed the horrifying truth. Ethan's death had been deliberate, and the consequences of that night would ripple far beyond their understanding. The Khans had faced a ghost, uncovered a hidden tragedy, and survived. But they also realized that some secrets of the past never truly die. The morning after the shadow disappeared, the Khan house felt strangely quiet. Liam slept soundly for the first time in weeks, without a single cry at 2:17 a.m. Emily and David exchanged relieved glances, but neither dared to celebrate just yet. Over breakfast, they talked quietly about what had happened. The hidden attic, the letters, the documents. They all revealed a tragic story, but also a strange sense of closure. Emily hugged Liam tightly. "You were so brave, honey," she whispered. Liam only nodded, still processing what he had experienced. Later that day, David scanned through the camera footage from the previous night. The shadow was there all right, but something was different. It didn't attack. Instead, it lingered, almost grateful, moving gently around Liam before dissipating into thin air. Emily realized the most important lesson. The shadow had never been evil. It was a lost child looking for acknowledgement and justice. By helping Ethan's spirit uncover the truth, the Khans had finally given him peace. But peace in a house like theirs was fragile. That evening, while Liam played in the living room, Emily noticed the corner of his room. Still a faint shadow flickered, almost like a memory. She shivered, realizing that while Ethan had moved on, some part of the past would always remain. David placed the documents in a safe box. "We can't let anyone else fall into this trap," he said. "The house has secrets, and we've uncovered some of them, but the world isn't ready for the full truth." That night, Liam went to bed without a single cry. As the clock neared 2:17 a.m., David and Emily waited anxiously. Nothing. Silence. Relief. Yet, as they drifted off to sleep, Emily's eyes caught a faint shadow near the corner, almost playful this time. Not threatening, not cruel, just watching. A gentle reminder that some spirits linger, watching over those who helped them find peace. The Khan family had survived. They had uncovered a hidden tragedy, helped a lost soul, and faced their deepest fears. But the house, and the memories within it, would never truly be empty. The story ended not with terror, but with a haunting sense of respect for the past. A chilling reminder that sometimes the things we cannot see are the ones that touch our lives the most.